Hey, what's up, guys? Nice talking to you. I'll show you real quick how to use the LOD system. So let's throw it into X-ray mode. I'm already in, just to make it a little bit easier to spot when we go to stamp this thing in, because you can see the big chips there. The character's a little small. I have this also on not preview invisibility, because most of the character is invisible, like the legs and stuff. So basically how this works is there are transmitters here on the chip, and then on the character itself I have some receiver. I forgot the exact gadget name. Let's see. So yeah, wireless receivers here, and I'm feeding a positive signal into the receivers, and I'm pretty much using this in reverse. So I'm sending the signal to the receiver, or to the transmitter, instead of the transmitter sending the signal to the receiver. And this way I set up a couple of different zones the player can look at. So I have a square zone there. That's for kind of close when the chips are close to you. And then this one is a sphere shape, and this just helps for the distant objects, so they won't pop in and out as much. Before I had just one, and it just didn't look that good, so this works out much better. And this also works much better than the laser pointer system that I had done first, because that kind of popped in and out, and I wasn't too happy with that. So let's go bring in Dex's awesome trees. And I'll just take a couple and copy them. Pull them over here to work with these. That's okay. So these use spawners, and if you guys aren't aware, when we load something into the spawner, that gets saved into the gameplay memory for the scene. So if my trees cost me 5% for the first group we're going to make, that 5% always stays in, I guess, the static gameplay memory, if you want to call it. And then when we copy the chip, the only stuff that stays here static would be the logic until the trees spawn, and then the gameplay logic during the runtime would increase 5%. So it's not really good to use for single trees or single objects. It's best to use for groups of things to save on that gameplay memory. So say we have this group of trees. Oh, and for that demo I put together for you guys, the little raptor hunt game, I used 4 different groups of trees to give some variety. For the tutorial though, I'll just make one. So we'll say that this is our first group of trees. Let's say if we placed them nicely instead of just copying them, and they're exactly how we wanted them, and we're ready to put it into the spawner. We would first group them together if they weren't grouped together, and then we will open up the group properties for it. And this way we're going to make a copy of this. We're going to make that first group invisible. I'll turn off preview invisible. So now this first group will be our high definition trees, or our LOD trees. LOD is just level of detail. So usually in game development, you can go down, you'll have like a billboard, then 3 levels of LOD. So we're going to group that first one, and then I put it into our spawner there. And the reason why we made that second group is because this is going to be our billboard group. But if we made the copy of it and turned off the invisibility, now the trees are in the exact same spot as our high detail ones. And then this is really kind of Dex's field here. What I did for the demo, like I said, Dex would know a little bit better than me. I took out a lot of these models to reduce the sculpture count. And then some of the ones I just increased. I'm not going to make it too pretty for the tutorial. I worked a little bit harder on the demo to make it a little nicer. Let's say this is our billboard. We're just trying to reduce the sculpture count. Just place these. Oops, too much. Okay. So now this would be our billboard that we would want, something in the distance. So our first one we did was the LOD. We'll open up the billboard and we'll tag it to spawn this. So now if I open up both my chips, they should be pretty close, and if they're a little off, we can always move them. But nope, they look right on. So now they're a little high from this, from the ground. So if you move the chip right now, everything will stay where it was, like the emitters and all that stuff. So if you're ever moving the chips around, just keep in mind that the spawner will stay where you told it to. So if you ever have to move a chip, or when we go to copy them, go to make more, spawn a level and we copy them, as long as we copy it, then you'll see it'll move those points. And then if you have this set for the trees and you like where they're placed on the height for the terrain, I just go into precise mode and delete that first chip. I'll line up the other chip down there. We'll do that one real quick. So now if I want to make more for the level, you'd have a couple different groups, and then we can just copy the chip. And as long as you don't let go of the back button, then we can rotate it, and the group of trees will rotate as well. So you can see when I hit play, we have our first group, and this group is the one that's rotated. If you don't like the placement, you would have to copy it and move it, or you can go into the spawners themselves and adjust it. So say you're clipping into a rock or anything like that. So now I set up another chip too, and this one is for ground debris, small stuff that's close to the player, because the zone size is just a little bit different. So that's the transmitter or the receiver gadgets really are in that chip too with the billboard one. Like I said, they're just a little bit tighter. So this one would work the same, but we don't need different groups for them because this stuff is going to be all the stuff that's close to the player. So you can make a same thing for that we did for the tree group. You can make different plant groups. I made a plant group, and I did a dead debris group, so I did some rocks and some fallen trees and stuff, and just used the same chip. And it would be the same thing. You can make a group, except we can skip that LOD step. So now we have both of those. Make sure I'm still in precise mode. Now we can start copying and just populating the play area with this stuff. So that's why I was telling Dex that this would kind of work best for background stuff that doesn't have to be precisely placed, because it works best for groups, like I said. Oops. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. I got some weird grouping issue, I guess. But yeah, that's basically how it works. If you guys have any questions, just let me know on the Discord. I'm going to publish the chip right now. All right, good talking to you guys.